Good evening, everybody. We will call the March 24th meeting of the Common Council to order. I will ask the clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Nolan.
Present.
Rote.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Here.
Grobe.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Halverson.
Here.
Keen.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
10 present.
We have a quorum. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderwoman Nolan. Thank you. We will move on to Part D of our agendas. We have one public hearing this evening, and I will ask the clerk to introduce that item.
Final resolution authorizing public improvement by replacement of private side lead water service laterals in various locations and levying special assessments against benefited properties.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Melinda Dieskey, and I'm the city engineer for the city of West Allis. With me tonight, Rob Hutter, the assistant city engineer, and we are going to talk about private side lead service water lateral replacements. There are several streets involved in this project. These are streets where we have partial lead service laterals or that need to be replaced. This is just a slide showing our contact information. We'll also have this information on the last slide of the presentation. So for the public hearing, we have an outline of the procedure. We'll discuss the project scope and the cost. We'll talk about the assessment rates and the different payment methods. Then we'll take comments and questions from the Common Council and citizens that are affected. The public hearing then is closed once all the questions and comments are completed. That project is then on the Public Works Committee for discussion and vote. The Public Works Committee makes a recommendation back to the Common Council, and then the Common Council makes a final decision. We would note that if you have questions specific to your property, that maybe we could talk about that after the meeting or make an appointment after the Common Council meeting to meet at a later time to discuss those. We're trying to, it's hard to talk about specific properties. We don't have the plans here in front of us. So it'd be easier to talk about anything specific one-on-one. But global questions about the assessment, we certainly can try to address those tonight. To just start with, we want to talk a little bit about what is a water service lateral and what the replacements involve. So on the screen here, you can see the house on the one side and the street on the other. The water main is in the street, and that carries all the drinking water that's brought to everybody's home. And then there's what's called the water lateral that goes from the main into the house. In between there, kind of in the middle by the property line, sometimes it's by the property line, sometimes it's behind the curb, is what we call the curb stop or the shutoff valve. It's, you know, a lot of different names, but it's somewhere between the back of the curb and the property line. It's what the water department uses to turn off the water if repairs are needed. And that's the delineation between what the public side is. So from that property line or that curb stop to the main in the street is public. That's the part that when we do a road project, or a water main replacement, we come and we replace the main in the street, and then that part up to the curb stop, and then from when we come later, from the curb stop to the house is the private side, and that is the responsibility of the property owner. And so this project is involving all the private side. We've done the public side in these areas, so now we're coming to do the private side in these areas. So here's some just general information about the program and kind of why we are moving forward with these programs. Water mains in West Allis involved in this project are from the 1910s to the 1950s, and a lot of the water mains were replaced in the 2000s due to the age and the breaks. And that means the main in the street and the public side of the lateral up to that curb stop were replaced. We replaced those with the lateral portion with copper or your HDPE. The private side, again, is still lead. So in October of 2024, the EPA mandated that all private side laterals, well, and actually all lead laterals, have to be replaced by 2037. So the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources came up with some regulations to implement the EPA's mandate. The city has to follow these mandates. The city does not have a choice. So the city has gone forward and made the replacement of private side leaded water service laterals mandatory if funding is available. And this year we have funding. So we have a little chart here that shows the comparison if you do participate in the city's program, the lead service lateral replacement program, what the cost is for the lead service lateral under our program. The city assesses $2,000. We allow a 10-year payback period. The city hires a contractor. The city contractor gets all the permits, and then there is a 1-year warranty period. And property owners can replace their lead service laterals on their own, but typically we see a larger cost to the property owner. Often they require payment upon completion of the work, and it is either the property owners or the contractor on behalf of the property owner has to get the permits, and that warranty period is really company dependent. For this project, you can see that we have two funding sources. We have a Safe Drinking Water Fund loan, which is $1.27 million, and then we are collecting $480,000 in special assessments. But Safe Drinking Water is definitely paying the majority of the project. Some general information about special assessment. Wisconsin statutes allow municipalities to use special assessments to pay for infrastructure improvements. West Allis for over 110 years has used this method to help pay for infrastructure improvements. In the past, West Allis did have property owners pay 100%. Property owners do not pay 100% currently. The special assessments are helpful because all property owners have to pay a special assessment, including tax-exempt properties such as schools, parks, State Fair Park, churches, hospitals. And West Allis has approximately 400 tax-exempt properties that don't pay into the general tax levy, but they have to pay their special assessment when we come through and do an infrastructure project that is specially assessed. So special assessments try to treat everyone equitably and fairly. So for this project, again, we're collecting about $480,000 in special assessments, or 28% of the total project costs. And then we have a note on the slide just explaining that the rates for the special assessments are set on an annual basis based on projected construction cost increases, and that rate is set independently of the bid prices for the projects. Just a kind of an example of what a payment plan could look like for the special assessment. In the lead service lateral program, all lead service laterals are $2,000 per unit. There's no front foot cost, or lineal foot cost of the lateral, it is a unit cost. This project would be constructed in 2026, so the final cost would be mailed out after March of 2027. You can pay it in a lump sum when you get that final invoice, or you can choose to have a 5 or a 10-year installment plan. The installment plans do have a 4% interest because the city borrows money to pay for these projects typically, and we do because we have the Safe Drinking Water Fund loan. And then the 4% covers our cost to pay interest payments on those bonds or the Safe Drinking Water Loan Fund in this case. So that is why we charge the 4% interest. And so a payment plan on a $2,000 special assessment would start in 2027 at $311.47. And then in the 10th year, it would be $208. And those totals include the interest. So for construction, if the project moves forward, the construction would start in spring of 2026 after we bid the project out and award the contract, the Common Council awards the contract. And then shortly after that, somewhere we estimate around May 1st, we would have the contractor start, and then they would work their way through all the streets at the beginning of, that were shown on the slide. And then all the restoration of all the properties would be done in November, towards the end of November of 2026. For this project, we don't anticipate trash collection being impacted, but it may be where one or two properties might be impacted just by the contractor parking in front of a property. If there is an issue, we'll provide a door hanger with directions on how to get your garbage collected and your recycle collected. There will probably be some impact to parking, but not anticipated to be overnight impact. But if there is an impact overnight, you can always get anybody in the project area is allowed to park within a 3-block radius without obtaining a parking permit. We work with the police to get that all straightened out. For construction, we send out an initial information letter. We mail that out to all the properties affected. And then for this project, the contractor will call each individual property owner, set up a time to meet, go in and inspect the property, because this replacement goes from the curb stop to the water meter. In some cases, it includes the water meter. So they do need to get into the home and inspect the basement and make sure the area is clear and work with you and explain that. So they'll set up that time with you and go over the project and get everybody on the same page, and then figure out when they can get back and get the work done. The city will also have an inspector overseeing all the construction when it happens at the individual properties. Again, if you have individual questions about something, you have a bar in the corner of the basement by your water meter, and you want to talk about that, we can do that, but we would prefer that we do that either after this meeting or at a different date where we can discuss those specifics. We do have a construction in progress report. You can sign up for it on our website. And that's something that we update once a week, sometimes more. And it's a great way to keep up on just where is the contractor, what's going on, how this project is progressing. And with that, I conclude our presentation.
Thanks for the presentation and the public hearing. Are there any questions from the members of the Common Council? I see Alderman Weigel's got his mic on.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. Melinda, what is the nature of this construction? Is it trenching? Are they going in the basement and like boring, driving the line out? So what is it gonna look like in someone's front yard while the work's going on?
So, I'll let Rob address that a little more.
Yeah, there'll be a excavation about where the sidewalk is, so maybe a sidewalk's 5 feet by 5 feet. There'll be an excavation there, and then in the basement, it's maybe a 4 foot by 2 foot excavation in the basement where the water meter is, and then they bore a line from the basement to the sidewalk, reconnect it, and then backfill. They pour concrete in the basement and then pour a new sidewalk.
And that's all included?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no mess in a garden, no trees being cut down typically?
Right, correct.
Okay.
Typically.
Yeah.
But if you have a finished basement where your water meter is specifically, what's that gonna look like?
And that is something that we don't encounter very often. When we have the contractor works with the homeowner to restore it is best they can.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Alderman Haas.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Devine. And so what's the status in regard to street construction projects? This is being done completely independent of street construction, or was street construction done before? And that's what you had said before about how the lead in the street and up to the private area had already been replaced. Explain that for us, please.
Sure. So for this project, we are going back to areas where we've either done street construction or the water main has already been replaced. So these are what we consider to be partial laterals, where the city side is already not lead and the private side remains lead. So these are, like, in 2025, and we did 91st Street, from Rogers to the dead end. So we're going back to 91st Street and we did the water main on the public side, and so we're going back to do the private side. A couple of years ago, the whole program was always do the road first and then come back the year after and do the private side. When the EPA made this mandate, they changed the time that you can have between a public side replacement and a private side replacement. We used to be able to go for a year between those. Now we can only go, I think it's 90 days? Yeah, it's 90 days. So we have to start to piggyback together. So we have to get these done, all our partials that are outstanding, and then this year with all our road projects, we have that have water main being replaced. We have a separate lead service lateral contract that is also being let in it, but it will piggyback all the road projects. So we have a lot of lead service laterals being done this year. I would say between this project and our road projects, maybe 300 lead service laterals. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does, thank you. But then is it fair to say that folks that are getting a $2,000 special assessment for their lateral just got a recent special assessment for their road maybe a year or two ago?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then the road projects this year, we included both costs under the road, when we did the road public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like, we had the public hearing for 72nd Street in Mitchell. Anybody on there that had a lead service lateral was given that $2,000 special assessment on that bill. This is the transition year before that, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor
Alderwoman
Devine?
Keene.
That was part of my question, because I had noticed that some of the streets were done. So at the time of the street project, was it offered for them to do the laterals at that time, or was that not a consideration?
In 2025, it was not offered at that time. We didn't have a contract that we could pair up with
To offer it?
Right.
And that's why it's coming after, and that's why these were picked, because it's partially done. So let's finish it and, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Alderwoman Noling.
Not a question, just offering an experience. I went through this process at the end of last year and found it to be incredibly easy to work with the contractors. It was very neat, very minimal impact to my home. So if you're hearing this and going, this sounds like a lot, they left my basement better than they found it, and even circled back earlier this week and put down new grass seed and straw, and made our property whole. So hope that helps for anybody anxious.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members of the Common Council? If not, are there any questions on the public hearing from members of the audience? If so, please come up to the podium and turn on the microphone, and please give us your name and address for our official record.
There we go. Cliff Hale, live on 91st Street. Loved the job you did with the road and all that. One of my concerns was you did the lateral going up to the cutoff. Is this going to affect the integrity of the new sidewalk? Is it going to get ripped up again and then have to be redone?
If the curb, depending on where the curb stop is, they may have to take a sidewalk square out, but that's factored into the cost, and it will not hurt the integrity of what was already done.
Okay, it just seems like, I'm not trying to sound argumentative. Yeah.
I agree, I
Yeah,
understand.
it's, we're already paying once for the road and the
Yep.
sidewalk. I'm just concerned that we're gonna have to pay again for the new sidewalk.
You will not.
Okay, the other thing is, you said it'd have to go back to the full council and all that. What would preclude this project from going forward?
I don't speak for the council. It's really up to the council to make that decision. We just present the best project that we can. And
Okay.
it's really, they hear your comments and they take everybody's comments into consideration as well as, what's, they feel is in the best interest of the city as a whole.
Now, and one last question is, I saw in one of my flyers, this is probably a one-day project.
The time at your property is about 1 day, yes.
Okay.
But the project itself, we have 250, 240 properties on this job, in this
Sure.
contract. So that's why when we talk about the construction schedule, it seems like it's long. So they may be at your property to do that work, but they may have to circle back later and do some restoration and that kind of thing, so.
Okay, I'm just worried about the water being shut off. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
that
on.
is just the 1 day.
Oh, okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. Any other questions from the members of the audience?
Hi, Amy Rose Murphy, 1520 South 76th Street. So when you say that they're going to be excavating in our basements, is it the floor? Is it the wall? What exactly does that look like? And then my next question is, after the repair, say a couple months down the road, it rains, there's a leak, there's something from what they did. I'm assuming there's like insurance to cover anything that they do in my home.
So the contractor has to have insurance to be a viable bidder. They have to provide us
Correct.
insurance, and we have those stipulations within our contract. So if there is something that happens that would rise to a claim level, they have insurance, and you work with their insurance to do that.
Right, the insurance covers the job, so it would cover extending should something come up.
Anything that's part of that job is
Okay.
to be covered by that insurance.
Okay, and then is it the wall? Because you said the meter, or is it the
It-
floor?
It depends on where where the water service comes in. If it comes in through the wall, they're generally going through the floor, right? Even if it comes in the wall, they're generally gonna go, the new one will come through the floor and up. And then they would cap whatever was in the wall.
Okay, I'm just concerned about brick walls, the houses that have brick walls. I don't even know how they did the pipes in the first place, but when you're saying they're gonna cut out a 2x3,
It's generally in the floor.
I
The
hope
new
so.
will be in the floor, and then they'll cap whatever. If it comes in the wall, they'll cap that off. Sure.
Any other questions from the audience on our public hearing this evening?
Mayor Devine?
Alderwoman Keene?
Just to add to that, I had this done and it is, mine was coming through the wall and I have a 1920 house. And they diverted it from then the ground, so it was about a 2-foot hole. And then they brought it up and ran it and put all new piping in also, which was good because my pipes were really old. And then they put in the new water meter, so it didn't impact any integrity of my walls at all. You should be safe.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience?
The button? Oh, it's ready on, all right. 1921-91. The only question I have, is there any kind of like a long-term study on the plastic versus the copper? I mean, copper does corrode eventually, but plastic comes with its own problems. Is there any kind of
Both have been approved by the state as materials that can be used. So we are using state-approved materials.
okay. So it's just a random luck of the draw what you get based on the contractor's
The
preference? or-
contractor gets to, we would give them the option of copper or HDPE, so.
I mean, long-term, it seemed that plastic would make the more sense, but everyone's got issues with plastics and the chemicals they release and everything else, but you gotta get water in your house somehow, so.
That's our goal, so.
So, Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Kirchner. Any other questions from the audience? All right, we will close our public hearing. Thank you, everybody. And we will move on to Part E, which is public participation. This is where the council may receive information from members of the public during this 30-minute period. We ask again that each speaker give their name and address to the council, stand at the podium, and limit your comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes. We cannot take action on the topics raised by the speakers nor discuss. Does anybody wish to address the council under public participation this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to Part F. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Please note on the top of page 2 of the agendas that due to the early voting taking place in room 128, that Public Safety and Public Works will be meeting in this room instead of room 128, which some of you might be used to. And if you are here for a specific item, whether it be a license or a permit or something with business with the city, and you're not sure which room to go to, when we break for recess, please approach one of us and we will make sure to get you into the right room. Item G, do not have a mayor's report this evening, so we will go right to Part H. Are there any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine.
Alderwoman Keene.
I just wanted to announce that on Saturday, April 4th, Friends of La Follette Park are going to be doing a egg hunt and breakfast, pancake breakfast. The egg hunt is free to all kids 11 years or younger. It starts at 11 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. The kids go nuts. The pancake breakfast will be held in the pavilion. It starts from 8:30 to 10:30. Adults are $10. Kids are $5. So if you don't have anything going on Saturday and you got little ones, bring them out to hunt some eggs and eat some pancakes.
Thanks very much. Any other reports from the alderpersons? Okay,
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas.
I move for approval of the March 10, 2026 Common Council minutes.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Were there any changes, corrections, adjustments to the minutes? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the minutes are approved. We will move to item J, our standing committee reports, which are none, so we will go right to item K, our consent agenda.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas.
Do any alderpersons wish for separate action on any items in item K, our consent agenda? And seeing none, I move for approval of item K, our consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there is no other discussion, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Noling.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Grobe.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Halverson.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Novak. 10 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas.
I move that the council stand in recess until the conclusion of our committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion, there is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in recess. right? Good evening. We'll call the council back to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Noline? Present. Rote?
Here.
Turner? Here. Weigel?
Here.
Grisham?
Here.
Grobe?
Here.
Haas?
Here.
Halverson?
Here.
Keen?
Here.
Novak?
Here.
10 present.
We have a full house. Let's do the administration committee.
All right, I will read out item 16 separately. So the Administration Committee recommends adoption of item 17. Oh, sorry.
Okay, item 17.
Mayor Devine, I move approval of item 17.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? If not, I will call. We're taking separate action. So item 17 has been moved and seconded, or moved and not seconded because we don't need a second. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on item 17.
Alderperson Noline?
Aye.
Rote?
No. Or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I screwed up. Aye.
Turner?
Aye.
Weigel?
Aye.
Grisham?
Aye.
Grove?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
Keen?
Aye.
Novak?
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 opposed.
You sure it was 10, not 9?
We're good.
Okay.
And then the Administration Committee recommends adoption of item 16.
Mayor Devine, I move we adopt item number 16.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Any discussion on item 16? If not, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Noline?
Enthusiastic aye.
Rote?
No.
Turner?
Aye.
Weigel?
Aye.
Grisham?
Aye. Aye.
Grobe?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
Keen?
Aye.
Novak?
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. And there's, I'm assuming, nothing on item 18.
Oh, no action on item 18.
Lovely. And we'll move to Public Works.
The Public Works Committee recommends adoption of items 19 and 20.
Mayor Devine, I move in accordance of the committee report.
Thank you, Alderman Rote. Any discussion? If not, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on Public Works.
Alderperson Noline?
Aye.
Rote?
Aye.
Turner?
Aye.
Weigel?
Aye.
Grisham?
Aye.
Grobe?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
Keen?
Aye.
Novak?
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries. And we will move on to the Economic Development Committee.
I will read out item 25 separately. The Economic Development Committee recommends granting of item 21, denial of item 22, granting of item 23, and holding of item 24 until the April 14th meeting.
Mayor Devine, I move in accordance with the committee report.
Thank you. All right. So on items 21 through 24, we have a motion. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Not for licenses.
So, but current council rules say that if it's just license applications, no roll call is necessary.
Boom. I'm out.
Okay.
All right, now we have item 25.
The Economic Development Committee recommends adoption of item 25.
Did we vote? I'm sorry. Did we vote on the voice
Yes.
vote? Yes.
God, we're-
Sorry, I'm on my own ego right now. I can't think.
You got a mic drop and is ready.
Okay, item 25. Sorry, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Devine, I move in accordance with the committee report.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, I will now ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Noline?
Aye.
Rote?
No.
Turner?
Aye.
Weigel?
Aye.
Grisham?
Aye.
Grobe?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
Keen? Novak?
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you, and we'll go to Public Safety.
The Public Safety Committee recommends granting of item 26 with updated contact information from new agent and granting of item 27.
Mayor Devine, I move for the approval of the Public Safety Committee report.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Haas.
I move that the council stand adjourned until our next scheduled meeting, Tuesday, April 14th, 2026.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?